If you hold your photograph over your palette, you should be able to see these colors, you know, in the area that you are trying to recreate. Another thing that you can do is again, this is something that I did in the Joyce Hall workshop. She's an artist out of Charleston who, if you're really serious about upping your game in painting, you want to take a workshop from her. She's, like I said, she's in Charleston, South Carolina. Anyway, we did a whole workshop on mixing colors, and like what I did is I looked at this right here, and I was thinking, you know, that's the colors that I'm seeing in the Squirrel, the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber. I can't really tell you, you know, I always start with a small amount of a 50-50 ratio of each. I mix them together, and from there I can tell if I need to add more blue or more, you know, burnt umber into it. But as you start mixing these two together, and you get this nice, really kind of a black-blue color, almost like a Payne's gray, you start adding white to that, and you get some really nice grays that to me matched up to what I was seeing in the Squirrel. So that's how I ended up, you know, with the palette that I just showed you, why I came up with that particular color. Before I start is I need to blot this paint up a little bit so that it's not runny anymore. Let's make sure that it's fairly dry. Still try to kind of keep a little bit of my values in there. Again, as long as I've got a basic sketch to go by, I'm good to go. And I like to work from dark to light whenever I'm painting. So we're going to start, we'll start with the face. Let's kind of work our way outward. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this brush. This is a lot of times people ask me, what brush are you using, what size brush? Every brush is different, depending on the brand that you make. This one is a number, probably, yeah, here we go. Number 1, it's a Pro Stroke, Premium White Bristle. These are probably my favorite brushes to use. And no, I don't get paid to talk about it. It's just, that's my favorite brush. I love working with it, and I haven't had any reason to change. I do have other brushes, but this is probably always my go-to. So I'm going to take the mixture that I did of the burnt umber and ultramarine blue. And let's get a little bit of that up there along the top edge, kind of simulate that eye over there. I'm going to dry wipe my brush, and from there I start seeing a lot more browns. So I'm just going to dip into some of my just straight palette burnt umber. So on the side of that ear. Try to make each stroke count. You know, lay the brush stroke down, and as Joyce Hall would say, you leave it alone. Sometimes that's hard for me to do. I'm always a work in progress. Try to be better, but sometimes fall back into bad habits. The main thing is to just keep painting. Don't let it stop you. So I dipped into a little bit of burnt sienna. I should probably pull out some yellow ochre. That's probably one of my favorite colors to use. And so I'm going to be mixing a little bit of yellow ochre. And I'm just dry wiping my brush as I go along. Mix a little yellow ochre with my burnt sienna. Just taking little short strokes. Try to emulate the fur of the squirrel. And there's a lot of that brown and gold color in the tail. Dry wipe it in a rag or paper towel. And just kind of come up here and work that in. It's a little bit light, so I'm going to dip into a little bit more burnt sienna. Again, I'm trying to lay my brush strokes down in the direction that I'm seeing the fur going. probably started with more of a middle value right there because it's actually a little bit darker. So I'm going to get back into that burnt umber and ultramarine blue mixture. And get the dark color in there in the tail. And yes, I know that that's not going the correct direction. What I'm going to do is get a little bit excess paint off of my brush and just kind of tap it to create a little bit of a blend without, I don't want to beat it to death, just want to get it a little bit blended right there. The two colors meet. And see how it's really nice and fuzzy looking there? You know, one of the things you can do is kind of push it outward like that, realizing that, you know, we're